What do you think you can achieve inside the bubble? Do you have any specific thoughts of what you might be planning?
Uh, Hopefully results. That's the key. I think a lot of guys are choosing to go down to Orlando because we have the ability to play for something bigger than ourselves. I think a lot of people, including myself, have some apprehensions, not just because of social injustice, but COVID related, et cetera. And a lot of us just initially, even on this team, just didn't want to go. But I think the ability and the option to be able to play for something bigger than yourself, um, I think a lot of guys would sign up for that 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10.
All right, Mark Murphy.
Hey, Jaylen. A lot of historically, a lot of black athletes have really paid a price for speaking out. Muhammad Ali, you can go as recently as Colin Kaepernick. I mean, he pretty much sacrificed his career. Do you think a corner has been turned on that now?
Uh, I'm not sure. I think time will tell. Um, I commend those guys during the climate that they were in to speak on the issues that were being deployed on them. So I tip my hat off to guys like Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Brown, Colin Kaepernick, and that list continues to go on. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, people that during the climate stood for something bigger than themselves. And at the time, it might have expended you know, their resources, but I think history has sided with them. And I feel like in today's time, in 2020, the people that continue to do that as well, myself included, um, hopefully, it's the ability to do both, to speak on social injustice and how you feel, and also, you know, maintain a relationship with your organization, your partners, etc. But if not, then hey.
If I could follow up, Anna said the other day that you're obviously going to be known. You're going to be a guy who's known for a lot more than just basketball. Have you glimpsed into your future at all as to where that might be, how that might be taken form?
Uh, Not really. Um, I kind of haven't looked up and looked around to see kind of where I'm at. There's been so much things I've been dealing with, family-related issues on top of COVID, on top of social injustice or what's going on now. I kind of haven't even had time to look up, and I probably won't. I'm gonna just um, keep riding and trying to keep doing what's right until the time comes. I appreciate Ennis for saying that, but I'm focused on now. Ennis, in my opinion, is that guy. Ennis is the guy that is known for, his fight and his activism more than his basketball career. So I pay the same compliment right back to him, and I appreciate people who appreciate the fact that things are more important than themselves.
Thank you.
Gary Washburn. Gary. All right, we'll go over Adam Himmelsbach.
Hey, Jaylen. We haven't spoken to you since you went to Atlanta and led your protest. Can you just kind of describe to us what the experience was like and kind of what kind of impact you think that had?
It was an interesting experience. I would say that um, impulsively during the time I was feeling compelled me to go down there to Atlanta, to where I'm from, to join, a cause, etc. And it was a peaceful protest, but we ran into some problems as well. I think 3 people were arrested during the peaceful protest, and the night before, the city had been rioting, so I understand how the police were on maybe high alert, but I just felt like that has been a major issue in this country, relationships between the police force, and the rest of society, and I think that relationship needs to improve, or we're going to see more unjust, or we're going to see more, um, discernment from society.
And just separately, you had mentioned a little earlier that early on, you guys, a lot of guys on the team didn't want to participate in this bubble and then kind of change your mind? What were there conversations among you guys, like group text, where you kind of figured out, hey, we should do this, or what kind of switched your guys' train of thought on that?
I think it was a misinformation. It was or a lack of information that was being shared. It was kind of a moment where a lot of us around the league felt like we didn't have any information. We didn't know what was going on. But once we found out, a lot of guys, came around to making their decision. For me, I can speak for myself better than anybody. I want to make that clear. Like, I didn't want to go to Orlando. Like, I had apprehensions, not just because of, social justice, but COVID related, and had some family issues as well. But once I thought about the opportunity that the organization and the NBA presented to play for something bigger than myself, I was signed up right away. I plan on, using my voice when I'm down there. I plan on inspiring or spreading light on things that are getting dimmed, and hopefully the NBA and our organization can understand.
All right, let's go back to Gary. Try it again.
Jaylen, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Jaylen, your initial reaction to when you saw the George Floyd video?
My initial reaction is hard to even put into words. And what's unfortunate about that situation is that, if it wasn't a camera phone or somebody being able to watch, we wouldn't even be here talking about it right now. And racism that's caught on camera or inequality that's caught on camera is what's being, relayed as the issue. But it's way deeper than that. There's issues that don't get caught on camera. There's issues in racism in education, in our healthcare, and in other forms as well. And right now we're talking about police brutality, but I think police brutality is just really the tip of the iceberg.
Secondly, there were players who did, like you said, did not want to go to Orlando. I know Kyrie kind of led some conversations, and you're deep into Player Association. You guys are together in the Players Union. What were those conversations like? Those conference calls, and I guess the perception is you guys all think the same, but it seemed like there's a lot of guys with a lot of different thoughts of what to do.
Everybody is entitled to how they feel and their opinion, and as a man and as a person in the executive committee, I think we all respect that. I had to take a step back just because I had some family or personal issues, so I missed a couple of those calls when things were being talked about and discussed. But from my understanding is that everybody during this time, it was no right or wrong. People made decisions based off of how they felt and what they decided for their family. And in the talks that I was on, there was no wrong answers. I think Adam, even in his ESPN talk, he told us it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. So I appreciate the NBA's openness in giving players the choice to whether they wanted to do something or not. There was a few players who decided to take care of their families, and I don't think they should be ridiculed or talked about in a negative way, because that's the decision they made. At the end of the day, Black lives matter, and Black athletes' lives matter as well. So I respect any guy's decision. My decision was to play just because I felt like it's bigger than me, and it's bigger than my family, and it's bigger than all of us. And people have died for the opportunity to be able to shed light and speak on certain causes. The least I can do is play basketball.
Tom Westerholm.
Hey, Jaylen. One concern that we've kind of seen raised a couple times is that the restarting the season could take away some of the momentum of the kind of the present moment. Was that something that concerned you, or that you had to kind of give some thought to?
At first, those were my first kind of thoughts. Just the role that sports plays in our society, it could serve as a distraction. But now the conversations that we had, I think, is gonna enhance rather than dim the light that's being spread right now. I think everybody wants to watch basketball in the NBA, and we have voices of influence in our communities, and we have obligations to our communities not just obligations to our organization. So the more the NBA understands that, the better everybody will feel about it, especially players. So I think that us going down there and making sure that nobody gets distracted is a part of the initial, correspondence. Like, we have to go down there and make sure that people don't forget about George Floyd or Breonna Taylor or Philando Castile or Ahmaud Arbery or Trayvon Martin, which is in the Orlando area, and the list goes on, and the countless other people who were not caught on video that experienced something similar. Like, the bottom line is there's improvements that need to be made, and the NBA has a great voice, a lot of resources, and a lot of influence, and we're appreciative that they're helping in aiding in a lot of those things that we care about. So that's really important.
Malik Andrews.
Hi, Jaylen. I was curious. Mike Scott just spoke earlier today about the fact that he was a little bit disappointed in the list of statements that's pre-approved by the NBA to be put on the back of jerseys, as opposed to it being something that each individual player can organically come up with. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that symbolism, especially in light of the fact the NBA plans to put Black Lives Matter on the court, but Black and Latino people disproportionately are dying of coronavirus.
I agree. I think that the list that was agreed to, or through the NBA, I think was a little bit limiting. I agree with Mike Scott. I would like to have seen, or like to see, because I think it can still happen, more options available to put on the back of our jersey. We understand that anything vulgar, our league doesn't necessarily represent, but for issues and causes such as now, I think that list is an example of a form of limitations. I think we should be able to express our struggle just a little bit more. Maybe another list of options would be adding to that list of options would be more important. I was disappointed, very disappointed in the list as well that was agreed to. I think that attempts were made to add to that list, but the NBA agreed that list was what was satisfactory. So hopefully maybe we can get some more names on that list or some more things to add, or meet in the middle, but I was disappointed as well.
What's an example of something you'd like to see potentially added?
Say that again?
I was just curious, what is potentially something that you would like to see added to that list if you're asking for maybe some amendments?
There's a lot of stuff I would like to see. I know everybody has different reasons they're playing for. So, 300 or 450 guys or however many guys that are going down there, I'm sure that them sending in whatever they feel like would add to, that list and make it overall encompassing of the group that's going down there. Things that I personally would like to see on there, maybe break the cycle, putting that on the back of your jersey. Results, that's what everybody is really playing for. Inequality by design, maybe. Things like that I think might have a more of a deeper impact than some of the things that were given to us. I think it was a little bit limiting.
Time for a couple more questions. Abby Chin. All right, we'll go to Kyle Hightower.
Hey, Jaylen. In any given NBA season, mental health is paramount to success on this level that you guys play on. But this season, obviously, this restart rather, there's a lot going on as you've talked about today. How important is it going to be down there in Orlando to keep mentally strong through all this? And what strategies are you kind of taking in to kind of keep yourself focused on on what you have to do, your task at hand, with so much going on around in the world right now?
I think it's different from everybody. For me, I think routine is going to be important. Get into a good routine. I feel like that'll carry you over. It helps you, diminish some of that time. Just doing normal things that I do here in Boston, I think trying to do it in Orlando or in the Forum will help me tremendously.
Thanks.
All right. And then we'll circle back. Final question, Abby Chin.
Hi, Jaylen
Hey,
family. Hi. I know you said that you stepped back a little bit from that executive committee. I'm just curious, though, for you, how important was it for you to be involved in those discussions and those decisions being made, and what has that meant for you going forward?
just to be able to contribute to an executive committee such as the one that I'm involved in with Andre Iguodala, Anthony Tolliver, C.J. McCollum, Chris Paul, Malcolm Brogdon, Kyrie Irving, Garrett Temple, and C.J. All of those guys, man, are intelligent, great guys, and they think critically. They think with a level-headedness that I appreciate. So those guys in their decision-making and making sure that we push the agenda that we want to push is for the players, for the overall 450 is what, people, is what I respect the most. So being a part of that, I've learned a lot. I'm the youngest out of that executive community, so I do more listening than I do talking. But I think those are some really good guys that I've learned from. Taking a step back because of my family was just something that I necessarily had to do. I think my family comes first. I think those guys understood, but I think those guys have it covered. I like to chime in and add my voice because I represent, younger demographic, being 23, and et cetera, and having an opinionated 23-year-old. I think that anytime I can jump back in, I think my voice, they allow it to be heard and appreciated, and I'm thankful for that.